Season 3 is right on the horizon, and here are some changes I'd like to see as a tank player. First up, let's start with the one on everybody's mind right now, threat. Whether you're one of the best tanks in the world or just an average Andy, you've probably had a DPS rip aggro off of you at some point or another. It stems from a combination of an outdated mechanic, low tank damage, target caps, and hero talent reliance. It all just kind of blends into this poorly designed gameplay loop where threat just feels fragile and frustrating. The fact a lot of tanks are still target capped is just absolutely wild to me. Spenders do next to nothing for most tanks, and reliance on hero talents to have any relevant damage seems so far from how it should be. Top that off with our damage already being relatively low in comparison to DPS in Season 2, and it creates scenarios where DPS are actually able to rip threat off of you 50% into a pool. If Blizzard wants tanking to feel more fluid and rewarding in Season 3, they need to rework threat, remove any target caps, and just increase base damage across the board. Tanking can be a hard role to dip your toes into. Why artificially increase the difficulty even more with some of the most frustrating things? It's not fun for you, it's not fun for me, it's not fun for the DPS, and it's definitely not fun for the healer. Number 2 on my list is trinkets. There are always going to be trinkets that are just simply better than others. However, some trinkets are just hot garbage. You have champion track trinkets outperforming myth track trinkets in some cases, and that's not even touching on the design or the new penalties Blizzard implemented for tanks and healers. Trinket selection for tanks has just become extremely mundane, and it's due to a lack of balancing and poor design with both the trinkets and the play space. Most tank trinkets typically fall into one of 3 categories. You have your on-use absorbs, your passive absorb / healing effects, and your cheat deaths. Whenever a cheat death trinket is on the cards, there is no choice. The role is unforgiving and tanks make mistakes too. Having a safety net for that is invaluable. I don't think there's ever been a season where a cheat death trinket was available and it didn't see play. Outside of that, as tanks we value control, so being able to decide when you need mitigation tends to be far more valuable than relying on a passive in most cases. That's typically why on-use trinkets are the go-to. Pair that with the passive trinkets usually sucking since Blizzard wants to enforce tank and healer interaction, you don't get much of a choice at all. And with Blizzard's focus on damage smoothing in recent design, even the good on-use trinkets are seeing less value. If you play well, you just don't need the extra buttons, so tanks drop it altogether and opt for stat sticks instead, which provide both offensive and defensive value. In the past, you might have seen a single target nuke trinket like Grief Torch, but with the penalties now, we're even forced to move away from those as well. There really needs to be better options. Being pigeonholed into boring options never feels particularly great. They've designed some amazing trinkets over the years with some really cool designs, but also a lot of stinkers. Blizzard needs to not be so afraid to let tanks shine on their own. The last thing on my list is racials. What you gain from certain racials has made some races borderline mandatory in recent years, and it's generally due to encounter design. In dungeons, seasons where there are a ton of magic and bleeds, Dwarf tends to shine the most. In seasons where skips are super prevalent, like the one we're currently in, Shadowmeld shines even brighter, to the point most high-end teams are utilizing 5 of them now. There are a ton of other examples from raids and PvP, but you get the idea. I think they either need to be entirely cosmetic, encounter design has to change with these in mind, or there needs to be a less money-hungry way to swap between them. Season 3 is right around the corner and I'm excited for what's to come, but tanks do need love. Talents, tier sets, and spec design are all something I didn't even touch on either, but we'll see what they do. I honestly think Blizzard needs to adjust their philosophy behind tanking. I should be rewarded for playing well by feeling strong. There shouldn't be so many design loops that hold you back from feeling powerful. They need to fix threat, fix our damage, and make tanking fun again. Let me know in the comments what's your Season 3 wish list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.